We talk about it outside, Aki.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Shalom, Rav.
Oh well.
Shalom, shalom, G Rabbi.
There you go. Okay. I thought I was on mute and I was eating some sunflower seeds. All right. So I think what happened yesterday with the recording was that what I think happened was that the title was too long. They were telling me to shorten the title. And anyways, all right. So yeah, so everything's good. Okay. So it's interesting. One of the best ways to really like understand what you're learning is to explain it to someone else. Right. So like back in the day, when I was, learning full time yeshiva, it was like, we would come home at the end of the day, right? Because in yeshiva you have like what they call 3 star a day. So you have a morning shir, you have a midday shir, and you have a night shir. Now they could be all on the same thing, right? But usually they're different. Usually in the morning you're learning one particular Gemara, and then in the afternoon you're learning a different one, right? And there's different frames of it too. Like sometimes, you learn with you learn with the group with the teacher, and then sometimes you learn one-on-one with your partner. You call it chavrusa, right? So like as much as you know, I'm a teacher, and a lot of the dynamic with Otino just is more so like is more chavrusa than anything, which is like basically July 22. Anyways, but anyway, so we're learning like in that type of style, but now we're like more in a group, which is good because I think it's important because especially because Otino has been learning the Ramchal. He learned Misla Isharim, and then now he's in which is a very classic sefer, by the way. Like it's just like that's the thing. And another thing it's like, it's like different love people. And I think I spoke about this before. Well, you know what? What do people throughout history, right? People who are Israel, right? Like what do they what do they say this idea, right? And so you talk to another guy, and so he doesn't necessarily explain the verse because he assumes you already know the verse, but he'll explain to you, like say, or any of these types of things, right? Like they'll explain it from that standpoint, right? And then there's people who explain it, not necessarily off of the 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 commentator itself, but point because they're assuming you already know. Obviously you read the Rashi, and you read the Orchaim, and you read Kliyach, or you read your commentaries, right? So they're not going to speak off of that. They're going to speak off of a concept within it, right? And that concept within it is something that's related to a even bigger matrix or bigger system. And a lot of that is like say more like Kabbalistic, type of stuff, right? Like the deeper parts. So like when you have conversations, it's like there's contemporary rabbis that we have around, like really great rabbis, and they have a lot of books, and they speak in the language of our generation, and it's very important. I mean, we all start off with those books, you know what I mean? But going forward, especially when you like finished an entire sefer, which is a huge thing, right? It said depending on how it says like when our soul. I think I may have learned this with Otino, but I think it was in Kav Hayashar. We talked about this idea of um, the safer that you learn going to testify in the heavens before your soul gets there, right? And it's the safer testifying, like, no, this is a real person. So I mean, obviously that's showing us like what does that mean, like for the safer to testify. I mean, that means you're living by the safer too, obviously, right? That's what he's testifying on right now, your acumen. But the point is just saying, like, once you have that under your belt and you do chazara, right? And I don't stress that as much as I should, but like chazara, meaning to go back and return and read over it and over and over it. It's like that's a big thing, right? That's a big part of learning is going back and going over it. But the way I generally do it is that I write about it, right? I write about what's in my head. I don't necessarily like read it over again. I write about it or I talk about it and these types of things. And then by talking about it, Hashem gives you extra, kiddushim, like he gives you extra, you know, um, influences, right? Because and it helps you even understand it even better, right? So the thing is, it's like you want to learn, but you want to be able to retain the information. You want the information to be a part of your personality, right? It's like it's not like an intellectual exercise. Like, oh wow, this is really amazing, right? And I'm not saying that's even anyone's thoughts here, but I'm just saying it's just a frame of of reference of what are we building, right? Because the chapters that we're learning, the ideas that we're learning about, these are new. This is a new life, you know. It's a new life, right? And so that perspective of new life, that's living differently. I think, we'll say yesterday, like, you have a more Yira, and these types of things because you're a different person, because you have a new program. It's like, when the guy was in the Matrix, they had him plugged up, to all these things. They're just downloading all this stuff, right? And he was just changing as a person with every download, right? So that's what's happening, right? We're now, because again, the Torah, the wisdom of the Torah is, it's in the heavens, right? And it's down in this world in the book. It expresses itself through our sages. Obviously the highest is the Torah itself, but I'm just saying in terms of we're learning. So that's a big point. And so in that point is like the review of where we're at. It's like we got to really like think about this concept, right? Because right now at this stage, the Ramchal is showing us the governance of man, right? The power and the greatness of man, right? And it's interesting because there's a famous midrash that talks about this idea that when God first created man, all of creation was like staring at man, like wow, right? Like they were like mesmerized by man. They were like basically like bowing to it. And so God made Adam go to sleep. And then the people knew that, or the creation saw the power that God had over Adam. Now, but now that from what we learned yesterday, I look back at that midrash and I'm like, wait, what's going on there? Why would, I mean, the question now, I mean, now we look at it, why would man invoke creation in that way? Like, because this is how you're supposed to learn the midrashim, by the way, right? The midrashim are there for us to ask questions on. So the midrashim paints this huge picture of this experience of this supernal entity called man in this physical world, right? And this is before man has flesh, right? And he's this celestial entity, and he's in this world, and all of creation bows down to him. So the question is why? Why is Why is creation bowing down to Adam? Oh, because Adam, he's the highest creation. Well, why is that? Oh, because he has Bikira, this and something. Right? Why? Why are they all bowing down? What instinctively about man is invoking all of creation to bow down? What is the Midrashim trying to tell us? Now, when I hear that Midrashim, well, how do I learn it now? Based off of what we learned yesterday, is that the physical expression of man is a reminder of Adam Kadmon. What is Adam Kadmon? Adam Kadmon is the first level of revealment of the Ein Sof, right? The first revealment of a vessel, right? A vessel is 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 in the frame of Adam Kadmon. Now, you know, you know, so so I want to ask, we're in the ship, but I want to ask Otino a question because he knows this chapter. So Otino, you there?
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so earlier when he was speaking about prophecy, right? He refers to it in two frames, right? Igul, right? Like circular, right? And straight. Now, circular is in the frame of general, right? It's in the frame of general, right? It's the general connection to, you could say, Chesed Gevur Tiferet or Chochma Bina, or Keter Chochma Bina, or Bina Chochma Dot, right? Just in that frame, but more Chesed Gevur Tiferet, right? Because it says lips. So you have that component, right? Which is circular but general. And then you have so he says, so when a prophetic image came in a frame of it has a circular shape to it, he was explaining what that represents. And then there's another aspect which is straight line, right? Which is Yashar. And so the straight line represents this context of particular, right? The context of particular. Now, also in that frame, circular is in the frame of process, right? Like the seasons are circular, right? Our perception of reality is circular. It represents you know uh, winter, summer, winter, spring, summer, winter, whatever the seasons on that process, right? On that process, the straight line represents going up and down, elevations going up, elevations going down, right? So those are two frames to look at that shape. Why am I saying this? Is because when we talk about Adam Kadmon is expressing itself. That verse vessel is expressing itself in limbs and body parts. That's how we understand it. Why? Because that's the first filter that all the light from in this world comes through. And then it comes through the world of Absolute. Then it comes to the world of Bria. Then it comes to the world of Yesira. And then it manifests itself in Asya or Malchut, right? This is the place of manifestation, is this world. When that, when it comes, when the highest light in this world is the human being, right? It's the highest light. So we resemble in our, hold on. OTL just went out on us. Hold on. Are you with me so far on this?
Oh, yes. Yes. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, so we'll come back to it when he gets there. But anyway, the point is saying so that so that highest light or that highest vessel, when it the he explained to us at the end
You you kind of digitizing.
different configurations called the spheroids, which are different lights, right? Okay, so anyway, so the point is saying that is it better?
Yes, that's much better. Total.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So the idea is saying so he's saying that the endless world is not Hashem. It's very clear that when we say endless world, we're not talking about the creator. The endless world is one of the many expressions of the creator. That the expressions of the creator are beyond our imagination. The only one that we are aware of is the one we call the Ein Sof. That's the one that's relevant to us. Now, endless world, within that endless world, only some of the light of that endless world is actually revealed outside of that endless world. And that's the reality that we live in. So everything that is in this world is an expression of the various degrees of light that emanate from this endless world reality, which we should not mistake as being the creator, because the creator is even beyond that, right? But the endless world is what we're interacting with. We are an expression of the endless world, right? What does that mean? What that means is that every single living entity in this world is comprised of a series of different lights, right? Like different lights. We call them parsufim, right? Different lights. And so the point is saying that the lights that come from the endless world come in the frame of different configurations. You could call it Hesed, Gabor, Tiferet. You could call it, Hod Yesod. Everyone has a unique configuration. But when we come into this world, this is according to Ramchal, when we come into this world, we become cloaked in what we call a neshama, right? A neshama is basically a covering of these lights. So it's like a kid, like with a book bag, right? So a kid has a book bag, and the kid has a book bag, and so in that book bag, he has like his rulers, his notebooks, his pencils, everything. They have a book bag, right? So see the neshama as the book bag, which is the covering, and the parsufing, the various different lights that make up who we are in our personality inside of that neshama. So it's like a pillowcase. The neshama is like a pillowcase. And what's inside of that pillowcase is unique lights. So we all have a soul, right? Every one of us has a soul. But what makes us unique, if we all have a soul, is the unique configuration of lights that make up our soul. You understand? So like that dynamic of understanding that these various lights are come from the endless world, and then when they come into this physical reality, they become cloaked in this kind of concealment, and this concealment is the neshama. And so the neshama comes into the body, and then now personality in the living being is activated, right? So this is the teachings of the Ramchal on the basis of understanding how we're created. So when we look at a tree, yeah, on this level, it's a tree, right? But if you go to a higher world, that same entity that we call tree will be seen like in, say, like a living spirit, right? A living soul, right? Because a tree has a soul too, not like mine, but it has its own living intelligence, right? But if you go to a level higher than that, you will see that they're really just a combination of lights. And these combination of lights have a certain density, right? A certain intensity, right? And so the certain density and intensity, when it manifests itself in this world, it manifests as truth, right? So when the man was created, all of creation we connected to man because all of creation emanates through the filter of Adam Kadmon, right? All the stars, all the trees, all the animals, everything all the lights that come manifest in Ahut come through the filter of Adam Kadmon, right? And so them being in all of that is the fact that Hashem was able to take the expression of Adam Kadmon as a spiritual entity in the heavens, and they make manifest that feature in this world and giving it a component of free will. And so that's why I used talked about the point of the shapes, right? The point of the shapes is that is the configuration of the human body, circles and straight lines, right? So the human body itself is wisely designed. I know you guys, already figured it out, right? But just in case you didn't, you know, ask yourself, why is the physical body shaped the way that it is? Why is there these straight lines? Why is this straight legs, the body? I think, why is it? God is infinite, right? God could create anything. So why did He create our body with circles and straight lines and these types of things? According to Ramchal and the Kabbalists, is because this is an expression of the primordial expression of light, which was in the frame of what we call in the physical world man. In the Kabbalistic lineage, they call it Adam Kadmon, right? So everything that exists comes through the frame of Adam Kadmon, and then it goes in the world of Aslud, and it goes in the world of Bria, which is creation, in the world of Yetzirah, which is formation, and in the world of Asiya, which is the world of action, the manifestation, the Malchut. It goes down that process, right? And then when it comes into this world, it manifests as this thing. It manifests as apple tree. It manifests as pear tree. It manifests as alligator. It manifests as bird. It manifests as this person with this height. But these are all lights. But when they come into the world, they become encloaked into like a living soul type of a dynamic, right? And then as they become a living soul, they enter the physicality, and then the physical. They manifest that physicality, right? A good way to see it is when a child is conceived, right? It's like you have two opposites coming together, right? And out of these two opposites coming together, there is something for um 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 you know the point is just saying that um a couple's together, and then the soul comes down, right? And that soul that comes down manifests, right? But it's coming from somewhere above, and it's coming into this world, right? It's coming into this world, right? Hold on. Oh, Chanel's texting me. Hold on one second. Yeah. Hold on. You can't log, log, log. Hmm. Okay. It's challenges right now. Hold on. Gotta figure out how to get Otino back in here. Alrighty. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. But why can't you log back in though? You guys are fine, right? You guys are there, right? You guys are on mute, so
Yeah, we're fine.
yeah. All right, hold on. Let me see. Maybe I can send another link or something. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, what do I do? I don't know. I mean, YouTube. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know, man. It's wild. Let me see. Let me try something. All right. So I sent him a link. I don't know what I don't know. It's crazy. It's just technology. Like yesterday, I was having all the technical issues. Okay, so it is what it is. We got to keep going. All right. So that's basically the base layout of this reality of man's governance, right? Right, because man is a reflection of a spiritual realm. That spiritual realm is the highest is the highest expression from what we call the Immus world. We call that expression Adam Kadmon, the primordial man, right? The original man. What is the original man? Original man is really the circle and shape, straight structure that light reveals itself through. And so man was the expression, the physical man, which is us, was an expression of that, right? And so us being a man that as a physical expression is uh, is in essence who we are, right?
So,
And so that mech, yeah, go ahead.
okay, so we're the expression that Adam Kadmon reveals in creation, reveals here in this reality, and all creation is also a manifestation of Adam Kadmon. And when you said, I just want to make sure I follow, when you said all of creation while Adam was being created or being manifested, they all of creation just kind of like stared and just like marveled at man, is because man is the direct manifestation of Adam Kadmon, the system itself, rather than like for example of the mountain or the the whale, or whatever, which from all representatives from all of the kingdoms would have looked at Adam and said, he is in the direct image of the system itself. He is the represent he represents the system itself. Like he's like the crown. Am I following?
Yeah. I would say I would just add one point to that and say like not only did they see that he was a system, but he was a reflection. He was a there he is. He made it back.
Baruch Hashem, I don't know. Did you guys get kicked out?
No, they were here.
No.
No, I got kicked out. It was like report error for Zoom. I think Ralph, I sent you a message on Instagram too. It's like can't get in. I don't know. I turned my phone off. So I don't know what's going on.
Hey man, I was saying yesterday it was my phone, if you remember, or was it or the day before, or whatever. But I
I
just
think it
kept
was the day before.
yeah, the day before.
I thought
Hey,
the app crashed.
it could be like that. You know what I mean? We got wars out here, but
Okay.
because Shelby made it back. But the point is saying that when we were talking about that from what we've learned already, right? We were talking about the midrash, right? And the famous midrash that says that when Adam was created, that all the creation bowed down to him, right? And we're saying that, well, maybe we could learn that midrash in a new way and even ask new questions, right? Based off of what we learned about from the wrong call. What question one being, why did creation bow down to Adam? Like, what was so great about Adam that all of creation bowed down to him? Right? Why was it such a thing? Why was it a confusion or some type of it almost sounds like there's some confusion between Hashem and Adam, right? So we're saying like, well, why? I mean, like I never asked the question. I just assumed that, just a man, because the way the Midrash says he was bright and he was shining from one side of the world to this. So you just look at it as like some like a like a supernatural kind of like Mount Sinai type situation. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. But now I can ask a question and really ask it because I have the answer, right? The question is that why did all of creation bow down to Adam? Because Adam was a physical manifestation of the spiritual level of Adam Kadmon, right? The level when the Ein Sof, the endless world, right? You know that's expressing an aspect of the Creator's will, right? That we engage with, right? That endless reality expresses itself. The first frame of revealment of light is what we call Adam Kadmon. Why? Why? Because as we saw earlier, Ramchal, he brings the concept of shapes, right? Shapes to understand prophecy, right? Now we're understanding these shapes. He says because the shapes allow us to understand spiritual qualities and spiritual directions, whether it's the process of life that goes through the circular, or the aspect of being able to analyze or see it from a general perspective. That could be circle, eagle, and then you have Yashar, right? Which is a straight line. And a straight line could be something that expresses particular. And it also could express going up, elevating up and down, right? So, but now that we're understanding that that's what's being said, then it's like, well, so now we could put it together and say, wait, the shapes that he utilizes to understand prophecy is the same shapes of the frame of Adam Kadmon. This is the shape of that spiritual realm, circles and straight lines, right? And so that structure of straight circles and straight line is the makeup of the physical body, right? We are an expression of that spiritual system, right? And or at least that madriga or that level, right? So we're an expression of that. So when we come into this world, all of creation goes through Adam Kadmon, right? All the lights, everything goes to Adam Kadmon. Everything goes through that reality, right? Everything goes from the upper worlds through, comes from the Ein Sof through Adam Kedmon to the world of Absolute, the world of Bria, the world of Yitzir, the world of Asiya. And in this world, it creates a physical form. So in this form, in this physical form, this particular set of lights that make me who I am comes down as Mordechai, right? And everyone else accordingly to who they are. Same thing with the tree. The tree comes down in this frame. So the point is, to say that the point is to say that that the physical body is an expression of that spiritual realm. And so when man is created, that's the response that creation had. Creation sees man and it's like, whoa, that's me. That's everything. Right? Because everything filters through Adam Kadmon. And this is the power and the elevation of mankind. Right? That is the true definition of what each man on planet Earth is. Now that we understand that the soul itself is just a cloak for the particular set of unique lights that each one of us possess, now we can understand what it means to be Israel. Israel is a quality of parsufim, of lights. It's a particular set of lights from a particular part of the Ein Sof, the endless world. And those particular lights come into this world like all the other souls or the other lights. And when they're encloaked into a neshama, right? When they're encloaked in the neshama, they either enter a Jewish body or they enter into a body that will eventually lead them to the Torah, right? So it may not, like my situation, right? Like I grew up with righteous parents. Were they Jews? Did they practice Judaism? No, but they're righteous. And so because of their righteousness, I was able, as a unique parsufim, was able to come and be conceived by my righteous mother and grow up with my righteous father and grow up and eventually find the truth of righteousness, you know, as it relates to me. And by doing that, I bless them for now and eternity. All the mitzvahs that I do, like even this class that I'm giving right now, My parents receive reward for it. My grandparents receive reward from it. My great-grandparents and my great-grandparents and my great-grandparents. Right now, all of them are receiving rewards just by me talking to you right now, right? So the point is just saying that this idea of understanding that the human body is an expression of the highest realms, but then we understand within that highest realm of Adam Kadmon, there's levels. So the highest level of Adam Kadmon is Israel, right? Those are in terms of that particular set of human parsufins, the parsufins that will manifest in this world as human beings, the highest and the most intense lights, the intense lights and intensity of life, that is Israel. And that's why those particular souls go in this particular area. So that's it. And that's when Mashiach reveals himself. Mashiach will be able to see the parsufim of the people and say, you are Israel and you are not. You'll be able to say it. And then there'll be people that we never thought were Israel. They're going to come up and say, I'm Israel Chai. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, the intensity of the light will be so great that only certain souls will even be able to function within it. Right? So we're talking about lights now. That's why this whole concept of like everybody wanting to fit in and there's a Jewish look and you don't look Jewish. All this stuff, like, bro, we're talking about Israel, bro. This is humongous stuff. We're talking about lights and souls and concealed in the shamas. So when people say Jewish soul, what they're really saying is that there's a unique set of parsufim inside of that soul that come from a specific place from the endless world and have a specific role to play in this physical reality in order for them to achieve their specific work. That's it. That doesn't mean all Jews are righteous. It doesn't mean all Jews are nice. It doesn't mean we don't have similar issues. And it doesn't mean that, there's people who say that they're Jewish and they're not. They don't have those parsufim. Right? So the point is just saying that that's a reality. Right? And we should really be thankful to Hashem that we have the neshama that we have, to be able to understand this wisdom and take it in and to empower. So that's what Ramchal that's the governance of man. That this is last chapter, right? And because it's a build up to this, and because we're so medaic about making sure we keep all the classes together, we're not going to fully start the next chapter because it's already like, you know what I mean? Just because the technical issues kind of threw us off like a little bit, but that's fine. Again, something's big inside of this chapter 13 because yesterday we did chapter 12 twice. Today, I'm still kind of going over chapter 12. So there's something big in chapter 13 that we're going to learn. And we have to just keep preparing ourselves. But the point is, it's saying that when I look at myself as a man and I look at my potential in this lifetime, what I can accomplish, what system or what matrix am I using? Am I using the system and the matrix that was given to my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather? Or am I using the understanding of who I am as a man as it relates to the wisdom of the sages? Because if I'm going off of the wisdom of the sages, that means that I contain all the power of the universe. Every point of strength, everything that exists is a part of me. Every planet, every person, every tree, everything I'm a part of, I'm an expression of that makeup. Right? And so I live in a reality in 2025 where, we have the concept called a workforce and, we have these different ladders of progressions, we have salaries, we have the economy, right? So in that reality, how has the world taught me to see myself? How much can I accomplish in this world? Am I an expression of all things? Or am I Black? Or am I American? Or I'm rich? I'm educated. I'm successful. You could be all those things. Or are you a manifestation of Adam Kadmon? And you have access to all of the power that exists in the universe. But I live in a reality that tells me I am a serial code number. Your social security number. All right? Social security number. You are race. You are tax bracket. You are educated. I mean, these are the things we live by. We live our whole lives with these concepts. And we define ourselves in that way. And now the Torah and the wisdom of the Torah and the sages tell us the complete opposite. He says, you are an expression of infinity. You have the power of all things. You have the wisdom of all wisdom. You have all that. All you have to do is just reveal it. Just tap into it. Accept that that's what you have. And go out and be like the creator. Right? So that's what we're dealing with right now. My physical design is either Adam Kadmon, and it's just a nice fairy tale, right? It's a great story, and it's juicy. But you know what? The people at the university, I just trust them. The people at the Library of Commerce, they have my best interests in hand. All the books, all the writers, all the stuff. You know what? They had me in mind. They had me in mind and my success when they gave me the information that I received in the first, second, and third grade. They wanted me to win, man. So I'm gonna stay with the narrative of how they described who I am. I'm gonna stay with that narrative because it's safe. Everyone agrees. Everybody agrees. Why you gotta change things? Why you gotta shake things up? We're just human beings, we breathe in oxygen, yes, we die. You come in with all this other stuff. It's not me. This is the wisdom. This is what it is to be a Jew. This is how we believe. I have the power of all things. It's inside of me. It's who I am. I don't have to go out and get it. I don't have to consume. I don't have to consume. Everything, I have to participate to sustain life, but everything that I could ever desire is already inside of me. Now I gotta bring it out. I gotta have experiences, right? It's not like me getting married. It's not about, oh, I want to feel love. I already have love. I'm giving love because I'm acting like the creator now. I'm giving mercy. I'm giving patience. I'm giving encouragement. I'm giving vision. I'm giving inspiration because these things exist in me in my way. My way of existing as a human being is taking all of the goodness and all the power and all the greatness and sharing it and being benevolent like the creator. And that is the mechanism of marriage. You're not lacking. Oh, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. This isn't for me. What about me? What about me? No, you're either in the image of Adam Kadmon or you're not. If you're in the frame of Adam Kadmon, you are a sharer. You're there to bestow. Okay, Malchut is crying. Malchut is upset. Malchut is emotional. That's what it's going to be. That's Malchut. It's negative. It's the desire to receive. It gets negative. So guys who don't understand what it is, they're looking at that pull from the wife, and they get caught up in it, and they're just like, God, she just takes. No, but you're just supposed to give. But what about me? What about everything? That's it, because this is the expression of man, right? Taking on a responsibility in your business, growing your business, taking on more employees. It's not about money. Oh, I need more money. No, it's about responsibility. If you have a business model, or you have the ability to expand what you're doing and it provides jobs for people, which creates sustenance, right? And keeps people off the streets, keeps families together. It's a mitzvah if that's the intention, right? Yeah, or you want to make more money because you want to, grow, the things that we're doing, right? That's a holy effort, right? Because that's the focus, right? Is to spread these concepts, to put them into courses online. So it's not like just like us learning these concepts. No, someone could go and they could learn the whole 0 to 139, right? And have a new way of seeing reality with graphics and sound effects and classes. I mean, and test, right? And review and study groups. That's where we're going with this. Right now, it's us. We're sitting here. We're like the original, So anyway, so the point is just saying. So this is what we're dealing with. This is like, how far can I push this? Can I create things that can touch billions of people? Can I make that impact? If I'm Adam Kadmon, how far can I go? How much can I create? How much of an impact can I make? And then I have to ask myself, well, because I didn't know that I was Adam Kadmon, and I'm an expression of the infinite reality, what is the other narrative that I believed about myself? What's the other narrative? And I got to be honest with myself. What is the narrative that I believe about myself? What is the narrative that our society has created about me? And as African Americans, that's a real thing. Like, that's a real thing. Like, what is this narrative? They used to tell us that we were ugly, bro. They used to say we were ugly because we had lips, not skin tone. They said you guys were ugly. You guys were ugly people. And they said it every day over and over. And that's just one concept. That's just one concept. And there's so many microaggressions, television, everything. Right? So when we talk about this idea of returning to Adam Kadmon, this is bigger than just a spiritual idea. This is about leaving blackness behind, leaving whiteness behind. Yes, it existed as a frame of reference for a particular state of consciousness. But in terms of the definition of me, why I'm black? You gonna tell me that? You gonna tell me, well, I'm American? Okay, I have a citizenship. Sure, very nice. It's not about citizenship. It doesn't define me. Okay, that's circumstance, right? And you come to me with this narrative about who I am and who my ancestors are and what my role in society is because of it, and you just want me to be complicit. Why? Because it doesn't exist. You made it up to control me psychologically. That's what you did. You created something to control me. You created a mechanism. You created a story. You created images. You created intellectual. You wrote books about it, right? And you gave me access to no other thought, not to my parents, not to my grandparents, not to my great grandparents. And you made us think because you let us in a university that we were actually getting access to diversity of thought. No, it was another form of indoctrination, right? It was just another form of indoctrination, right? And so when we talk about the concept of Adam Kadmon is the first revealment from the Ein Sof. That's the highest level. And that's what I'm made by. And it's not just me, every human being is. Now, is there a special place that the Parsufim, the unique lights called Israel, come from a specific part in the Ein Sof? Yes. Do they play a specific role? Yes. But nevertheless, the image of this aspect is the basis of the unification of mankind. And that unification of mankind is the unification of the cosmos, of the heavens, and this world, right? This world too. So I'm not saying, oh, a person has to go around and say, I'm not black. Why? Because people get mad at you, right? They'll go around and say, like, oh, well, you ashamed of yourself, you hate yourself, you know, you need to be proud of who you are. Who said that's me? Why am I giving away my power and allowing you to define me? Who gave you that power? I didn't give you that power. I'm your property. You get to tell me who I am. I'm Adam Cadmon, bro. I am a physical expression of God's aspect of God's expression in reality. I have infinite. I am infinity. I have infinite ability. By definition of who I am infinite in every form, and I have access and connection to everything because everything is an expression of Adam Kadmon. The tree is an expression of Adam Kadmon. Why? Because they went through the filter. So who gave you power to define me? You don't have the power to define me. I reject it. I take back that power. If my parents gave it to you, I take it back. So, anyways, so maybe for some people it's a little bit radical, but I need to connect to my potential in this lifetime. And so anything that does not reinforce my connection to God, I got to just put it on the side, and just say, like, this is not a form of definition for me. I am infinite. When I'm praying in the morning, I am praying as an expression of a spiritual level. I'm connecting back to that spiritual level. No other creature on the planet can do that. Only humans can do it. And not only that, only Israel is commanded to do it. Anyways, any thoughts, reflections? I went a little bit wild today again, but it happens. Where we at?
Now, none for me, Ross, since I got kicked halfway out this year. So,
Fair enough.
Well, Baruch Hashem. I just, it really makes me think about just changing perception and changing, this just that whole dynamic of, just what we've been what mankind has been taught about itself and all of these false constraints and that actually create different levels of obstacles that are really imaginary. That they're not that those obstacles are made up. And so you end up spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to overcome these obstacles that are really that was really designed and put into your life that's really not even, you're spending all this time trying to overcome those things instead of learning what your possibilities are. So it's kind of like you it's kind of like a person, goes into a candy store and they're told, hey, you can, you can get candy from here and here, but don't go in this section over here, right? But the owner of the store is your father, and your father saying, no, I didn't tell you that. I didn't give you that limitation. The whole store belongs to you. True. And listen, you don't have to go in and grab, with this mindset, grabbing, you know, 10 or 12 pieces, thinking like you're not going to get any more. Take your time, enjoy, try a little bit here, a little bit there, and relax. And so what you're talking about, I believe, is going to be is very liberating from the aspect of freeing us up as children. Kind of going back to what Othniel was talking about yesterday. It brings you back to that pure imaginary. Where you're imagining, where you're pure. and you don't have these hindrances and these projected perceptions that the world, that evil inclination sets out there to create barriers for yourself. Torah.
Yeah, and I think that's a very, very important thing is just really sit back. I'm only using the frame of African Americans. That's just a point of discussion, right? But I'm just saying, as you know, we just look at that society, and I'm just seeing it as specifically as a man, right? And I'm just looking back at it, and I'm like, bro, this is crazy. It's like I'm telling you, every time I get in debate with these people, I mentioned this before. Anytime I talk about America or America's power, America's influence in American dominance, these type of like people, like they're like, but you're black and your ancestors were slaves and this, and how could you say that? Blah blah blah. You're black. They hate you. You're a slave. And I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself, listening to them. I'm like, the real question right now: why do they feel the need to tell me that, and why are they all saying it together? Right? Because I go in these group chats, right? And it's just like it's a psych out move. They learn from white people how to control us. They control us through triggering our trauma. If we get out of line and we start to like we show any form of disobedience or critical thought outside of their mechanism, they say, "But you're a slave." Even black people do it. So that, I mean, look at the response to black conservatism. And I'm not saying, oh, uh, um, black conservatives are good. I'm not talking about little goyish politics. Okay, I'm talking about the human condition. And what I'm saying is that when you look at when black people do things outside of the black narrative, the first thing that they do is attack their relationship as a black person, right? Like he hates himself. He's a sellout, like Clarence Thomas. He's a sellout. He hates himself. Wow, he married a white woman, the whole thing, right? The point is just saying that we live in a society that's trying to convince us that we don't have any value at the same time extrapolating our value. And I'm saying the only way to reverse that mechanism is by redefining what the human being is. Because if I define myself as black, I have now consented to their set of narratives. I omitted my power by saying that I am black. Once I say I'm black, that makes you white. Once I say I'm black, that definition is no longer controlled by me. I gotta wait to get a postcard. They're gonna send me a postcard and tell me what the next black thing is and what black people should do and how black people respond. They even write articles about it. The black response to this. Okay, hey everybody, I just read the black response to computers, to AI, the black response to AI. Now I know how to think because I am black. I mean, and the white people have it worse because they have been given the perception of power with it. So it's harder for them to let it go. It's also an illusion. Whiteness can do nothing for you but make you a collective slave. It makes them a slave too. It's no different. Just because they give these slaves, $3, and they give these slaves $7. They're both slaves. Why? Because you call yourself white and you call yourself black, right? And so from that perspective, that's the power of the concept. Yeah, cool. That's the power of Adam Kadmon, right? Because when the frame of Adam Kadmon, now I get to redefine myself, right? I get to say, no, I'm not a race. I'm not an ethnicity. I am an expression of the Adam Kadmon, which was shaped exactly like my physical body, right? That's it. That's who I am. And I'm starting from there. And then from there, I'll come down to earth and I'll deal with, okay, they created this theory, they created this philosophy, they created this concept. Okay, they created these things. Very nice. Okay, I'll participate with you. Hey, I'm a black man and I'm, fighting for social justice, and everyone claps. That's what they believe. That's what they believe in that. They believe in this matrix of definitions and descriptions. They believe in it. So, but I know it doesn't exist. Okay? They believe
See,
in it, but I know it doesn't exist.
yeah. Yeah. G Rabbi.
Yeah, go ahead, Moses.
Do you think that because it makes, as you were talking, it made me think about the verse that says, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself," right? And so, do you believe that through that mechanism that has been projected upon, black people and also white people and other people, it that projection that that others have, it's just about black people, that
Yep.
projection on us creates the dynamic, um that hey, I'm gonna put this on you, I'm gonna put this image on you, and therefore you're going to show me, and you're going to show the world what you actually think about yourself. Because if you lash out at me, or if you're angry with me, then that means that you agree with what I'm saying. And therefore, it's just a response that, hey, you're lashing out on me. So this is how you actually feel about yourself. You really want to lash out at yourself, because love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you really love yourself, what I project on you doesn't even matter. And it's not going to change how you treat me as a human being. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I think what I hear you saying is this, this idea of I just want to make one point on the idea. I may not exactly address this exact point, but just the what you inspired, what thought came from what you said, is to understand the participatory process between black and white people in this certain set of consciousness, right? This certain set of consciousness, because we're both omitting power. One says I'm black, one says I'm white, but neither one of us are connected. Neither one of these definitions, we don't control this. They change the definition of what whiteness means in America. They change the definition of what blackness means in America. So both black and white people are suffering from a condition of human beings that don't understand who they are on a spiritual level, because we couldn't see it in other nations prior, because there was so much culture. You see what I'm saying? They had so much culture and history in Europe and in the Middle East and Asian antiquity. All those parts had so much culture that you couldn't really see how disconnected man was to what it is, right? And it's only in America, where there's no culture, that we could really finally address this concept and be like, wait, what are we? Like, what am I, right? And we had to have things like slavery and all these other different concepts and discrimination, because this is all reflective of not even culture like in the old world, right? In the new world, we're discriminating against each other because we have no sense of understanding of ourselves, right? And so this is the concept of the framework to understand how man reflects a spiritual world, right? Because then that removes us from any type of ethnicity. It removes us from any type of, you know, um, dynamic, in this way, right? And being able to, um, um, articulate our
Well,
interactions. Go ahead.
okay. So I don't know if you've been following this or not, but see, this is bringing a lot to light right now. You know about the floods over in Central Texas, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and it's way above 100. I think it's like 134, 140 deaths now, and there's still like 100 and I think 150, somewhere around that number there. They're still missing, right? Just can't find them, right? And one of the things this, when you go online, there's the black response to this flood. And what happens is that you have, whereas now you have a lot of African Americans that are digging up and looking up, and it's typical. And I'm tell you what, looking up like just the levels of racism, or this is a sundown town, and just all the historical problems that either was surrounding this particular camp or surrounding the area, and it's like a lot of it. It's like, man, like this was this is why this is happening, right? And I sat back and I was looking. I was like, man, like, wow, because here we are, we're praying and like, Father, please, right? And it's like, this is the response. This is the response of a this is a twisted response. What I look at is, I look at the fact that here you got a people, and when you look at it, why isn't the Hispanic community, why don't we get their take on it? Why don't we get a take on, like, the German response on it? But
Jewish,
it's the
Japanese,
Jew. Yeah. Why don't we get
white people?
Yeah, because this is a reaction to a mindset that a curse without a cause is not so. And so that aspect is there within the Black community that says, man, when something like this happens, we know, man, we know this is God's hands, but the question is why, right? But then to go and say, well, this is a punishment because of the racism, I tend to look at that and say, well, man, there's racism all over the United States. And so it's not a good thing for us to always say, hey, try to pinpoint this is a judgment specifically because of racism. And so that right there is like the response that I'm saying that has been projected upon us as, these horrible things been done to us. And so the reaction and the response is not, hey, everybody, look, listen, we know that only God could have sent those floods. Let's all come together and ask God, why has this happened to the human race? Why is this happening in the earth right now? And because of the response that we give an answer to say, oh, it's because this was a sundown town. That to me belittles the situation, honestly. And it causes us to be distracted from asking God, why? Why is this? Why is, like, what are you trying to tell us? Because we just went over parashah, whereas Moshe says, listen, if these men die a natural death, then you know that I wasn't sent. But rather, if they die a phenomenon through an unnatural way, that the earth is going to open up, that this is Hashem. And it's like, I believe we cut ourselves short when we follow that same abusive narrative. So that's all I want. That just made me think about that.
Yeah, and oh, perfect. So yeah, on that point, like, yeah, I mean, it's there, but it's like, sometimes, like, when people speak in a similar way that I'm saying, like, I'm speaking about this idea of blackness and the thing, and it could give the impression that it's apologist, like you're being an apologist. You're saying, oh, well, the racism doesn't count. These different things. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the system that I was born in is trying to psych me out that I'm not really a human still. They're still dehumanizing me. My pain is not like other people's pain. My history is not like other people's history. Everything with me is like I'm like a sophisticated like a zoo animal, right? So that's the whole game is to dehumanize me. And as long as you can do that, I will never take power in America because I'm not really American. That's also a psych out, right? They're telling you we have the most powerful country in the world that we created and are the only credibility to the country. And hey, we're not taking advantage of it. Our kids are not taking advantage of it. Our kids are not thinking about, I'm talking about kids that are 21, they're not thinking about the international growth of America. They're not thinking about the different marketplaces that are opening up around the world. Who cares about America and the lack of jobs there? It's all over the world, bro. All over the world. But until we take control and say like and connect ourselves in an infinite world, we're only going to be using the definitions that are given to us. And so when they say it's time for us to do something, then we do it. Right? When they say it's not time to do it, we don't do it. So that's the main point. It's not. I'm not apologizing for white people. I'm not saying that by taking my power back. The question that everyone needs to ask themselves: whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever you are, why did you give other people permission to define you? And is this a way of high level slavery on the mass level, where people created nation states and governments? Like think about it: Jordan, Syria, all these are created countries. But there's people who are loyalists in those countries. They're ready to die for them. The countries haven't even been around that long. You know, maybe the people have the region, the whole thing, but the nation state mindset, the whole thing, all new ideas. Even America's relatively a group of people who came over with, and they had ownership of the idea, and they spread the idea, and they created governments, and obviously, you know what I mean, and trade, and all these things. And it's like I wasn't a part of that, but in that system, I get categorized as black. But why do I have to participate in that? Am I someone's slave? I mean, if I'm missing something, let me know. Like if I'm someone's property, okay, I'm okay. I will accept whatever my master tells me. Right? That's the deal. But if I don't have a master, why are you telling me who I am? And if you're telling me if what you're telling me about myself is not healthy, right? The narrative they gave black people is not healthy. That's not a healthy for any people. You take any group of people and you give them the same narrative, the same images, the same ideas, the same education, same food. You give them the same thing. That's an act of war. It's an act of war. Gaza is no different than Southside Chicago. It's no different. They declared war against us. And we never realized it. After the civil rights movement, it was war. Before, it was about subjugating, right? But now that we were freed, quote unquote, now it was war. So that's what drugs came into the neighborhood. That's when the breakdown of the family. That's when they put welfare into the dynamic. Then they created the dynamic of what is it? Affirmative action. All these different things to destroy the black economy, to destroy the black family, to drug out the people. They changed legislation, created laws for incarceration, and just took a whole generation and found a new way through through addictive substances to incarcerate a whole generation. And the thing about it, the addictive substances that they had, they didn't know at the time. No one knew what crack was. People didn't know what cocaine was like that. They saw Miami Vice, right? They didn't know any of that. And so these people in America declared war against black people. That's what it is. And it's a psychological war. It's psychological. And they wear you down. Generations like sanctions. You just keep sanctioning until the people are broken, right? And then now, when the wealth comes in, they don't even have strength to get any. You just throw them some crumbs, they'll be okay. Anyways, we'll keep the conversation going, but you can see where my head is at in terms of recalibration of society and the human perception of itself, and I think the African American experience, you know, is probably the best place to start. You know what I mean? In terms of this idea, and it just so happens, everything comes together. Any last words before we head out?
No. This is very refreshing. Class. Rabbi, you still there?